So the topic for the evening is the 3 A's. And this is something I've played with for a while, but it's kind of new. So I'm going to test this out on you. To me, the 3 A's are really my conversation with myself as part of think. So when we talk about think, yell, run, fight, tell, and the 5 fundamentals, the 5 fingers of empowerment, self-defense, we're talking already about a self-defense situation, right? A place in which we already feel unsafe. We have to think, what's going on? Am I okay with this? Am I not okay with this? Can I use my words? How should I use my words? Think, yell, run, leave if you can, fight if you have to. I'm going to quote my darling friend Clara Porta, fight if you have to, knowing, not because you want to, knowing that you have the right to. And tell, go and get support. So for me, the 3 A's are sort of like a pre-think. It's a way to exercise my inner conversation with myself. So the first A is acknowledge. Acknowledge. It's an A. What's going on here? A. What am I feeling? A. We in Impact, I had the pleasure of working with the Colorado team a little over a year ago. And what I saw them doing was wonderful. I'm going to stand up for this for the fun of it. They had you hold your hands in your start position. You're not going to see me very well. There we go. Right? So we have our stance when we already feel like we're in danger. And they have this in-between stage, which I really loved, which is, what's going on here? What's going on here? And then they talk you through, or have you talk through what's going on here. What do you see? What are you feeling? So the A in the 3 A's is that conversation with myself. I just said something that really wasn't my normal behavior. What's going on here? Oh, I'm feeling like I've got a headache. What's going on here? It's acknowledge that there are things that might be going on with my body. I'm feeling sick to my stomach all of a sudden. Well, did that have something to do with a conversation that's happening in the room? So the first check-in, the acknowledge, is talking to myself on what's going on with my body at the moment. So I can tell you that I have really bad stage fright. I'm going to share that with you. I have really, really bad stage fright. When I was a beginning judo teacher, I was fine teaching judo. The second we would invite the parents to come to watch, I would freeze. I wouldn't know how to handle that because talking to parents is like scary, and playing with kids is playing with kids. I'm good at playing with kids. And so I can tell you right now, so I'm going to acknowledge what's going on with my body right at this moment. Okay? I'm flushing. I'm getting red. My ears are hot. There's no threat. But because I'm doing something that I don't always feel comfortable with and I don't always feel safe doing, my body is giving me some reminders that I'm feeling uncomfortable. Thank God at the moment I do not have to pee, though I probably did that about 12 times before I got on the call. But the acknowledge is feel the feelings, feel the feelies. What's going on with me? Is the hair on my arm prickling? Am I feeling, getting a sweat? Is my heart beating a little faster? And if I'm feeling like my behavior is not 100% what it normally is, when I feel safe and when I'm with people I'm comfortable with, so check in. Take the time to check in with yourself and have that conversation. So how do we practice that conversation? I think that one of the ways we practice that conversation is actually doing it out loud. It's standing in front of a mirror, which I can tell you one of the most triggering things for me when I started my path out of my abusive marriage was looking in the mirror and not focusing on the pimples. Looking in the mirror and being willing to say, hey, Yudi, we got this. And not just looking at, oh, look at my hair, oh, my eyebrows. I don't even have eyebrows. It's like we spend so much time looking at it with a mirror as a way to make sure we're okay for the world. How often do we use it to make sure we're okay with ourselves? Can we use it? Like, can we acknowledge what's going on? Wow, I woke up, my knee's not feeling great. Damn, I had a whole bunch of errands to do. I'm gonna have to figure this out. Maybe I have to, rearrange what's going on, but I'm acknowledging what's going on with my body. I'm acknowledging what's ahead of me. And I believe that when we spend time, it just like anything, it's a muscle. And the inner talk becomes your friend and not your foe if you give it positive voice, right? Most of us have inner conversations with ourselves. And those inner conversations with ourselves tend to be, oh, I didn't take care of that. Oh, I didn't finish that. I just, I was cooking till the last minute and I didn't clean anything up and I didn't take care of the laundry today and I didn't do that. Like, we don't spend enough time having positive conversations with ourselves. So acknowledge is about practicing those positive conversations. I acknowledge you. You, Yudit, I acknowledge you. I see that you're struggling with this right now. I see that you're in a really good mood. I see that, this has not been your day. I see that, oh, wow, that conversation's really bothering you. And I think that the more we practice the talking, how many of us have been, you could raise your hands, how many of us have been told, that if you talk to yourself, you're crazy? Like, if we heard that, if you talk to yourself, you're crazy? Well, guess what? If you don't talk to yourself, you're crazy. I think that this is one of those things that we don't have to believe, that it's good to talk to myself. It's good to check in with myself. It's good to acknowledge, okay, I'm not okay right now. No, I'm not interested in a hug. Or, oh my God, I really need a hug. Like, these are all good conversations to have with yourself in a positive way. So as we get into a situation, as I practice how to do that with myself on a daily basis, then when something happens in a room, or either with me or in my space, because sometimes what's triggering for us is something that you might need to intervene in. Like, anybody who's ever been in a restaurant with me knows that I cannot hold a conversation if somebody at another table is having a difficult conversation. Like, if I feel like there's something going on over there that isn't peaceful, I cannot stay engaged and focused in this conversation until I understand what's going on there. So that's a safety thing also, because it may all be nice and fine that that has nothing to do with me. But if they get all weird and start, shooting at each other, I'm in the same restaurant. So my inner voice is saying, Yudi, you got to pay attention over here. You can't focus over here right now. And we are good enough friends, me and my inner voice, that I can actually say now, I can stop and say, okay, yes, I understand there's something going on over here. Turn to the person I'm with and say, you know what? Can we just pause for a second? Because I just need to make sure that they're okay. Because as long as this is escalating, I'm not comfortable right now continuing our conversation. So I've now been able to acknowledge what I'm feeling. And the second A is announce. Announce what you need. I am announcing to the person, I need to pause our conversation for a second so that I can feel safe with what's going on here. Either because I might have to intervene or I might have to duck, whatever it may be. But at this moment where I'm feeling my inner voice is telling me, there's something going on here. I need to acknowledge that, trust it, believe in it, know that, you know what, that inner voice was given to me to protect me. And therefore, I want to honor that. And I want to honor that by having a real conversation with it and not just going, oh, shut up, it's none of your business. Go back to your conversation. Because it's going to be my business if it comes closer to me. So acknowledge what's going on with me in this situation. Announce. Announcing is the I know what's going on. And I'm going to share it with you. What's going on right now is I'm feeling threatened by what's going on over there. And I need to just sit for a moment quietly until I feel comfortable with that. Or I need to get up and say to the manager, there's something going on over there that's really not good and you need to take care of it. Whatever it may be, I need to make that decision, but that being able to share with whoever it is I'm with. Now, if I'm having the issue with that person across the table from me has started a conversation that I'm not okay with. Doesn't have to be super threatening. I just have to be not okay with it. So acknowledge, wow, this conversation's gone in a way, that's my conversation with my inner voice. This conversation's gone in a way that I'm not comfortable with. I'd like to talk about something else. Announce what you want. And if that doesn't work, you have the third A, and the third A is act. And the act is do something about it. I asked you nicely to change the topic. If we can't change the topic, then I'm going to have to leave because I'm not willing to continue in this conversation. So it's part and parcel of the think, yell, run, fight, tell, except it's slightly pre. It's the how do we exercise these muscles so that they become a part of everything we do every day. That every discussion I have, every thing I need to do that my brain automatically cycles through, acknowledge what's going on, announce, tell people cannot read your mind. People can't read your mind. Now, we can say this is a word, absolutely. This is speaking. I can speak with my body. But if I really want somebody to understand what's going on with me, I may actually have to use my words. So here, come in, talk, and figure it out. Announce what's going on, use the words, and then act. What do I want to do now? What do I have to do to make the situation better? So, and it doesn't always work. And the reason it doesn't always work is because there's another person on the other side of this usually. So even if I acknowledge what's going on and I announce what I need and I'm willing to act on it, it doesn't mean the other side is going to respect that. So the more I get connected with my 3 A's, I believe that the relationships that I have where there is respect for that are the ones that are going to work. And the relationships where there is no respect for that are the ones that are going to be relationships of the past and not of the future. So trying to think of a good example. I have a great story of the, how do we get in our own way all the time. I've always wanted to be one of those people who felt comfortable dancing at weddings. I've always wanted to be one of those people who felt comfortable dancing at weddings or dancing, period. And I just feel that I'm not good at it. The only reason why I started judo was because I flunked aerobics. I went into an aerobics class, they went left, I went right, they turned around, I was outside in another room. I could not figure it out. And that was the story I told for years. I told the story that, the reason I went into judo was because you don't have to follow somebody else's rhythm. You get to build your own rhythm. And that made sense to me. So, I build my rhythm to do the best with my body. I don't have to dance to your music. I get to dance to my music. And so here I am, a 4th degree black belt, visiting friends in Toronto, martial arts friends, and they were going to a salsa class that evening. And they invited me to join them. And I was like, all right, well, I got nothing better to do this evening. And I went. And they were like, you don't have to worry about it. It's a beginner's class. There's always an extra. And I'm like, well, I really don't know how to dance. She said, look, worst case scenario, you can sit on the side, but I promise you, you're going to have fun. It's really not a big deal. And the whole way there, my blood pressure's going up and it's starting to get red. And I was like, oh, holy shit, what did I say yes to? And we walk in, and of course, I didn't have an excuse. There was an extra person. So they needed a partner. I was in. And the first 15 minutes, the song I was singing in my head was, you got it wrong again. Oh God, left, right. Don't you know the difference between your left and right? Oh my God, just like 1, 2, 3, do it. 1, 2, 3, do it. Come on, you got this. No, stupid. Oh, you're stupid. And I, finally, we had a break, and I had this outer body experience. My inner voice jumped outside of my body, looked me in the face, and said, Yuni, shut the fuck up. Just shut up. Get out of your own way. And I think that was the first time that I was able to acknowledge that I could have a conversation with that inner voice and say, hey, you know what? You just have to really be quiet right now, because I'm trying to dance, and by you talking in my ear all the time on how horrible I am, that's not working for me. So the conversation in that, acknowledge what's going on. Yeah, okay. This is the first time you're dancing salsa. It is not a beginner's class. They lied to you. And that's okay too, because the person you're working with is okay with their working with you. They're enjoying it. Look, smile on face. There's something good going on here. Just get out of your own way. So this time, the acknowledge, announce, and act were actually an internal dialogue. There wasn't an external boogie monster who was trying to get me to stop dancing. It was my own self, my own inner voice and how we had to turn that around. Now, I can imagine there are, I can tell 1,000, stories about my kids and I, where you need to have that slowdown of saying, we have to acknowledge what's going on right now. Clearly, this conversation is hard for us. What do we need to do to make it safe? We need to talk about it. So acknowledge there's something going on here that we need to deal with. Announce, use your words, figure out how to talk through it, and then act. And sometimes that acting can just mean, getting a glass of water, changing positions, whatever, taking time, or I can go into my whole, pocket of tools that I have and think, yell, run, fight, tell. Because we all know that that's not just about taking care of physical self-defense. It's also about taking care of emotional self-defense. What do I need to do? Right now, I am too triggered to carry on this conversation. And therefore, we're going to have to pick it up at another time. I care about you. I love you, whatever it is, but we can't continue right now because I'm not going to be able to have the conversation that I believe I could have if I wasn't physiologically responding to a triggering conversation. So yes, we need to talk about this, but we need to do it when we're both in a better place, or we need to do it when you're in a better place, because right now you're just jumping on me the whole time and we can't have a conversation like that. And I need to set up what I need to set up to be safe. So is it the same as the 5 fingers? Is it slightly different? Is it on its, it works with your own conversation, me and myself being my own worst enemy. It works with others. What's going on here? Figure out how to say what you need and then act on that. Many of you have heard me talk about this before, but I believe that we are the greatest gift that we were given in this world. We were given a body, we were given talents, and we were given a soul and a heart and a head, and it's our right to protect them. It's really very simple. And the reason I want to protect this is because I know that I have good I can do in the world. And I can only do that good if I'm protecting this, if I'm taking care of this. So the step back for me from the think, when we talk about think, yell, run, fight, tell, the first thing I get from people is, yeah, but in the moment you can't think. And maybe that's true if you never think. So, but maybe that's not true if you practice thinking and you practice working through it. So I know that people ask if I ever used my judo, and any martial artist who's on this call will, giggle and shake their head and go, yeah, every day of my life, because we do. But we got to that from lots of practice. So would I be able to use my judo every day of my life, every moment, getting out of bed and not wanting to use my stomach muscles, so I throw my feet? Oh, that's great. But can we get there without the practice that we've put in, the time we've put in training our bodies to be smart? No. So how do we expect to have a relationship with our inner voice if it's something we've never practiced? If it's something we gave up on years ago, or if we were told, yeah, there's so many messages that our cultures, I can talk about, Western white culture is telling you, you know, well, but, you know, he looks good, he dressed well, you know, he's from a nice family, all of the reasons why you shouldn't believe your inner voice. Yeah, well, how's that working for most of us? They look like a nice person. They treated me nicely. I think there's probably nothing more frustrating to someone who has just broken up with somebody else. Oh, but they're such a nice person. Yeah, maybe. Sometimes. I mean, I'm not a total idiot in how to pick people in my life, but they're not nice at the critical times. And only I know that because I was in a relationship with them. And so that level of for me, that level of the 3A's is really about being willing to love myself enough to have to continuously have a conversation with myself. Not nice behind closed doors. Oh no. Not sure. Okay, sorry. There's, yeah, not nice. Oh, not nice behind closed doors. Yes, yes. Gavin de Becker in, if you have not seen the movie Beauty Bites Beast and you have time to watch things, Amazon Prime, go look for Beauty Bites Beast. It's worth it and it'll support a woman director. And so, you know, go and pay your $4.99 and do it. Anyway, Gavin de Becker, who wrote the book, The Gift of Fear, says, you know, when a person's dating, what choice do they have but to be nice? I mean, you're not going to go out with somebody who's not nice. So, of course, you're going to get in, you know, it's a strategy. Being nice is a strategy. It's not a feature of a human being. And he says very clearly, I'm nice in some situations, I'm not nice in other situations. And when it comes to women, I think that's even more loaded and difficult because having an opinion takes us already out of the realm of nice. You're not allowed to have an opinion. So, you know, I'm sorry, but I really don't want to go to that restaurant. It's not good. I've been there before. I know it's not a good restaurant. You're not allowed to have an opinion. Why are you so difficult? So nice is a strategy. And I want to figure out how to keep in touch with that inner voice that keeps me safe, because I do believe that we were given a safety system, an internal personal safety system when we were born. I believe that in many cultures and in many ways, education knocks that system offline. And I truly believe that empowerment, self-defense, and the work that we're doing to bring this to the world is the solution to having that inner that inner voice that helps you, that instinct that allows you to feel safe, that keeps you in that place where you go, something's not feeling good over here. So I would, to me, that's the essence of the 3. Acknowledge there's something going on, announce, figure out what you want to say, what's going on there, and act, do whatever you need to do to get out. If there's anybody who would like to share something that we could discuss, that would be wonderful. Use Aikido all the time, at least in center. So yeah. So Aikido is our friends over there in Judo. One of the things we talk about a lot in martial arts is find your center. find your center. I can't even tell you how many times I've been sitting in meetings and my inner brain is going, find your center, find your center. So the center doesn't have to be a physical center. It can also be an emotional center. I don't want to be out here. I don't want to be out here. Like, the choices aren't just doormat or crazy person. You know, find your center. Okay, what do you want to say? How do you want to deliver it? What do you need to do? I have a question, Vikrant and Suryana. I'm going to let you guys in. So unmute yourselves. And I would love to hear a question from Nepal.
Hi. Hello. Hello, Judith.
Hey.
Thank you so much for the beautiful presentation. My question is, so you were talking about intuitive thinking, about listening to your inner voice and being, being aware of your intuitive thinking. That's what I got. But intuitive thinking has instincts, intuition, plus cognitive biases, right? There's a lot of biases and cognitive fallacies. So how do we kind of, know whether it's an intuition or instinct or it's a bias? Don't you think there should be another layer of acknowledge before you announce it? Don't you think there should be assess the thinking?
Okay. So yeah, I hear your point. Clearly, we are raised with biases. Clearly, and not only that, over our educational process, we not only we learn things that may not be the right thing. Like if I hit my brother, and the response is I get hit, what did we learn? Hitting is okay. So I've now learned hitting is okay. I'm going to move out into the world, and I have this, understanding that hitting is okay, and that's not going to work very well. Work very well. So how we educate people is super important, and getting the right messages. But I think that's why I call it a conversation. It's not something's triggering me, and act. It's something's going on here. I need to unpack it myself first. Okay, so that I think that's the assess that you're looking for, right? Yeah, exactly. I need to unpack it myself. Why am I reacting to what's going on right now? Why am I feeling this? Or I see I'm physically reacting, like there's a physiological reaction to what's going on right now. What is that about? And what do I want to do about it? So what do I want to do about it has to be in line with an ethical commitment for respectful behavior. There's no question about that, right?
Agreed.
Did that help?
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah. Yes, Wendy.
Okay, this is sort of goes along with what you just said. In my classes, one of the things that I really emphasize is the relationship between sexism and racism. So if I'm working with a group of white women, I always ask them, are you just reacting to this person by having fear because they're a person of color? And that, if you believe in inner voices, is already an attack, or have they actually done something? And so that's one way of approaching the idea of what's your responsibility in this situation and what's a real attack. And I believe absolutely in the inner voice, and I believe absolutely in assessing why am I having that reaction? Is it because of me or is it because of them? And in either case, doing something.
Thank you. So, Asta, tell me how to pronounce your name better. Asta Dua.
Hi, yeah, it's Astha.
Asta.
Yes? Yeah, that was pretty good. That was fun.
Okay, thank you. It's all right. Nobody gets Judith the first time either.
I feel you. Actually, your spelling, you also have two spellings, so I'm not sure like how you like to pronounce your name. Is it with
Yeah.
the EHU or is it just the U?
So I'll explain the difference. It's like the difference between Judith and Judy. So Yehudit is the official full name, and Judith is the nickname.
Gotcha. Oh, cool. Well, thanks for explaining.
There you go. Yes. What would you like to add?
Sorry, was that for me?
Yeah, it says you have your hand raised.
Oh, okay. I mean, so you remember like some time ago you said that if you have ever been told that if you talk to yourself you're crazy, raise your hand. That's when I raised my hand.
Okay. So
That's
sorry.
hilarious because
That's really
I would like to talk
cute.
about that though.
Okay.
Thank you for saying that it's not crazy to talk to yourself because I do that all the time and I needed to hear that.
I mean, I probably wouldn't do it frequently in public out loud, but that's a whole nother thing. But I think taking the time to check in with yourself is hugely beneficial.
Absolutely.
Even if you don't agree with yourself, I'm a Gemini. I never agree with myself. Anybody else?
Cool.
Have something? Oh no, Tasha, you're a Gemini too. Two of us in the room. There are 4 people all together already. We're already a party. I'm trying to think of maybe a situation. If somebody come up with a situation that we could break down, and you do want to, Tasha, please respond.
Hello, everyone. So what Vikram was saying, I was thinking of, basically what you were saying, Judith. I kind of feel like you were addressing that. For me, when I am talking to my students, one of the things that I'm constantly telling them is that they should do a check-in with themselves. So more or less like, how am I feeling right now? What's going through my head? And then on top of that, just more or less like what Wendy was mentioning is you do have to check your own biases. So am I feeling this way because of this person's gender, because of this person's cultural background? Am I being triggered by something from the past, or is this something valid for right now? So I think that is part of the acknowledgement piece that you had talked about.
Thank you. Thank you. I'll share with you a story that I actually was told to me recently, and young kid, girl, probably about 6, 7 years old, something like that. Went home with one of the members of the synagogue. Her father was the rabbi, and she lived in the synagogue. And one of the men knew her father wasn't going to be done for a while, and said, come with me. I have some candy in my apartment. Everybody, all these self-defense instructors, it actually has a good ending, not a bad ending. Asked to, and so she goes with him. They go to the apartment, he gives her some candy, and he's now bringing her back, and they bump into her mother. And her mother goes in on this guy like no one's tomorrow. You had no right to take my daughter, and I'm yelling at him, and what are you doing? The whole, it just like goes batshit crazy on this guy. And the person who was sharing the story with me wasn't the child. She was a friend of the child. And for her, this story was And this young girl became somebody who's very confident that her parents would stand up for her. And as she was telling me the story, she dismissed the whole piece of whether this person was well-meaning or not. Because in her mind, he just gave her candy, nothing happened. So I said to her, wait a minute, Mom stopped a process, could have possibly stopped a process of grooming. And she was like, what? Wait, what? So the feeling that mom at that moment knew who to yell at. She could have yelled at the child. She could have said, thank you for the candy. I'll take my child now, go someplace else, and then rail all over the child. Why did you go? You never go with a stranger. Well, it wasn't a stranger. It was somebody from the community. It was somebody she knew. So that place where, but her internal voice, this mom would say, no, you were wrong. You should not have taken my child. I think for many of us, especially those who do have children, that's a no-brainer. Of course I'm gonna defend my child. Will I defend me? Will I speak up for me? Will I listen to that inner voice when it's me who has to make a decision? And have I practiced having that conversation? And I think for me, what's the most important piece of this is not the AAA and what it stands for. It's that anything that we believe we will be able to use as a skill for life has to be practiced. It has to be practiced. There really is something in use it or lose it. I'm pretty sure I would not do very well on a bicycle today. Now, that doesn't mean I wouldn't be able to get it back, and it doesn't mean that I wouldn't be able to use it in an emergency. But I'm not going to feel comfortable with it because I haven't kept that skill up. I'm going to take, I see that Bianca's going back to the biases, and yes, it's super important to maintain a healthy conversation, which means I need to check my biases. If I'm trying to be a good human in the world, then I need to be constantly assessing my privilege. I need to be constantly assessing my biases. I need to be constantly assessing my, how much of this is about me and how much is this about doing something, for others. Is there, is it always about me? When it comes to safety, yes. Got to do this first. When it comes to who should have the last bar of ice cream, I don't know, maybe not. Maybe I need to be more giving. Sarah Gordon would like to say something, and I'm going to invite you to do so.
Hi.
Sarah, are you there?
Thank you. Yeah, I'm here. I agree. What I wanted to say before, you just said about practice makes perfect. And if you don't use it, you lose it. So I think going back to Vikram's comment, how do we know that what we're thinking or what we're feeling is real or true? Or how do we, the only way to know is to sort of to have that, is to practice the inner dialogue. But I feel that sometimes it's even if we practice a lot, it's really confusing because maybe there's biases, but there's also just fear, and there's also feelings that we don't even know where they come from sometimes. And I think that sometimes it's helpful to get feedback from the outside, because sometimes it's hard to separate what is my real intuition versus what is this other fear that may not be real, but it's there anyway. That's what their demons are there. And so I think that goes into the announce, like talking to people about what we're feeling and getting feedback from people that you trust, and writing as well. Writing can help clarify what's the real, what is our real self, and in our self-talk, like
Right.
what's our real intuition and what's our real inner voice versus the steam, the clouds, the illusions, the myths that we talk to ourselves about. That's all.
That leads. I was once given a homework by a therapist I was working with, and it's been something I've given for students every now and then, which is to sit for 15 minutes, put a timer on, and literally write everything that comes into your head. Everything, whatever comes into your head, just write it out. This is so stupid. I don't understand why I'm sitting here for 15 minutes, and then just keep writing, and eventually you'll start to hear what's going on inside your head. And as you can start hearing that, and she made it very clear, don't look at it right away, put it away, whatever, look at it the next day, the day after, go back in and sit and see, oh, what was actually going on there? Like, because Bianca wrote here also, we have all of this junk that's collected in our experiences, in our education, in what we've read and what we've seen and what we do and what we learn and what we know, and all this noise, in addition to what a friend of mine's mother wrote a book about this called Screws in Your Head. That, every bad thing that's happened to you or every horrible thing that somebody said to you is like they've started drilling a screw into your head. And the more people say the same thing, oh, you're so stupid, that screw just goes a little deeper and hurts a little bit more. And unscrewing them is a lifelong process. People are complicated. Human experience is complicated. There is no simple answer to any of this. But not being in touch with your inner voice is definitely a path to not good. Like, I think that it's that having that conversation allows you to start unpacking some of the stuff that you may have been taught that doesn't make sense, or is harmful or hurtful. And, there's a Talmudic saying that there's a reason why you were given 2 eyes, 2 ears, and only 1 mouth, because these guys should be doing more of the work, see what's going on, hear what's going on, learn, and then, process in a way that it's clear that you're recognizing there are other human beings who have different experiences. I've found that the more I've been able to put these 3 A's into practice with myself, the easier it is for me to help others walk through them themselves. That when I see somebody having a tough moment and I can say, hey, what's going on? What are you feeling right now? I'm feeling like I'm really upset with you. Okay. Are you in a place where you can explore why you're upset with me? No, not yet. Okay. Do you need a drink? Whatever. So biases. I know I'm trying to read what you guys are writing because it's so nice. I'm inclined to trust my intuition and feelings first. Yeah, I think that the default for this sentient being, whatever we are, is to protect this. Like, I should want to protect this. And yes, not everybody has the same level of protect this. But I believe that comes with the package. You get a body, you get a soul, and you get a system that says protect it. And even if, I just, part of me is saying that biases is a whole different thing. It's a whole different can of worms, because and maybe what it is trying to understand the difference. This is going a lot deeper than I thought this was going to go, is trying to understand the difference of the difference between biased fear. I was taught to be afraid of. I was told to be afraid of. We're told to be afraid of people walking into a parking garage. But not everybody will make the hair prickle on the back of my neck. And yeah, so I like Wendy said, you can always say sorry if your bias gets in the way. If I get called out on, oh, wait, oh, you're scared of me just because? No, I was scared because I got feelings like you were not being respectful. Okay. We also go easily to jump to the, you only don't like me because, or you didn't want me around because. But deep, yeah, a lot of deep. Anybody want to pop in and say something before we end? Right, we've got 5 minutes. I'm thrilled to see all of you. And going once, going twice.
Let me jump in.
Sure. Hey, Nancy.
Several people have mentioned in the comments about applying this to social distancing or physical distancing, because it's really not social distancing. And I think we'd like to hear you just speak your ideas on that a little bit as something that's concerning everybody right now.
Right. So clearly, even though we are physically distancing ourselves from others, some of us are actually having a much more of a social life than we were having when we were actually working. And so the being able to check in with yourself, what are you okay with, what are you not okay with? I mean, this is all part of boundary setting, and am I taking care of me? Am I doing what I need to do? Am I giving the time I need? And how am I feeling about what's going on? It's I think one of the most challenging things for me at the moment is this lack of structure, that your morning smears into your afternoon, into your evening, into your day, and the meetings and online, and we're doing all of this crazy work to stay engaged and focus and do, and not necessarily being in tune with ourselves and saying, hey, you know what? I can still have a day off, or I can still have time to myself, or I need to check in, or it's okay to be petrified because the world is crazy right now and have a day of just crying at every little thing. And so for me, the change is, okay, what's going on here? What's going on right now is it's scary out there. And I know that self-care is a huge part of what we believe in. And I recommend it for everyone. Do what you can to self-care. I'd like to ask folks. Just trying to check in, quickly read through. Yeah, I think this is a skill. This is a way of thinking that can be used whether you're with a person or you're on the other side of the ocean and talking in a Zoom call and trying to make sure that you're okay and feeling okay with what's going on. So I hope that was close to answering what you were putting out there, Nancy.
It's Wendy. Many years ago, somebody said practice makes perfect, and somebody else said no, perfect practice makes perfect. And then later I heard somebody say practice makes progress. And that seemed to me to be the most supportive way of saying that to people.
Yeah, I love that. I'm glad you brought it up again because it zipped past me on the, but yes, we were taught by Sid Kelly that practice makes permanent. Perfect practice makes perfect. So if you can practice things, but if you're not practicing them correctly or practicing them in a way that you are checking to see if you're improving, then yes, practice can make progress. But even in practice makes progress, there has to be an assessment going on. Am I moving forward in my practice? Is it getting better? Or am I stuck in doing it wrong really, really well? Because we can become very good at doing something wrong. Many of us have spent the majority of our lives learning how to undo those inappropriate behaviors that we got very, very good at. But they weren't serving us any longer. They were either not serving us because they were pushing people away, or they were not serving us because they were stopping us from doing the things that we wanted to succeed in. But yeah, so practice makes permanent, and progression if you're practicing in a way where you're actually looking to see, are you moving forward? Are you getting better at it? And I just want to thank you all. I am honored that you came and joined me today. And we look forward to seeing you, if I'm not mistaken, same bat channel, same bat station next week.